Why chase the obvious when the perfect solution might be hiding in plain sight? While every team in baseball scrambles for the same handful of elite closers, could the Toronto Blue Jays be quietly identifying a diamond in the rough that everyone else is overlooking? The Blue Jays' offseason has been nothing short of relentless. They've attacked their weaknesses with championship urgency, adding Dylan Cease and Cody Ponce to fortify a rotation that needs to dominate deep into October. They've courted Kyle Tucker like a franchise-altering superstar. They've explored every available bullpen arm on the market. But here's where the story gets fascinating. While headlines scream about Pete Fairbanks and Edwin Díaz, Toronto's front office is doing something smarter. They're digging deeper. They're identifying undervalued talent that could provide elite production without the astronomical price tag. Enter JoJo Romero, the St. Louis Cardinals left-handed reliever, who might be the most underrated bullpen weapon available this winter. Let's establish the context. The Blue Jays aren't casually browsing the reliever market, they're hunting with predatory focus. After watching their championship dreams evaporate due to bullpen failure in the World Series, Toronto's front office understands that elite, late-inning arms aren't optional. They're mandatory. The pursuit has been aggressive but frustrating. Ryan Helsley, the Cardinals' former closer, and one of the premier ninth-inning arms available, signed a $28 million deal with the Baltimore Orioles. That stung, not just because Toronto missed out on an elite closer, but because a division rival strengthened while the Blue Jays watched. Toronto has been linked to Pete Fairbanks, the Tampa Bay Rays closer, who has absolutely tortured Blue Jays hitters throughout his career. They've been named as a favorite to land Edwin Díaz, the electric Mets closer with devastating stuff when healthy. But according to recent reports, including a December 3rd post by MLB Live on X, the Jays are also highly interested in Cardinals reliever JoJo Romero, for what it's worth. At first glance, that might seem like a consolation prize, a backup plan. Well, if we can't get the big names option, that assessment would be catastrophically wrong. To understand why Romero is available and why Toronto should pounce, we need to understand what's happening in St. Louis. The Cardinals are tearing it down. This isn't a minor retool or a strategic adjustment. This is a full-scale organizational reset. Before the trade deadline, St. Louis shipped off several relief pitchers, including closer Ryan Helsley. This winter, they traded away Sonny Gray, one of their most reliable starting pitchers. According to Jeff Jones of the Belleville News-Democrat, reporting on November 25th, the Cardinals are actively fielding calls on Romero. JoJo Romero is also drawing trade interest this winter, and he has just over 5 years of Major League service time. This is crucial information. Romero isn't being shopped because he's ineffective. He's available because St. Louis is rebuilding from the ground up, and a 29-year-old reliever heading into his final season of club control doesn't fit their timeline. Jeff Hoffman included Romero in his list of 15 more who could move among the top 25 trade candidates this offseason. MLB Trade Rumors has him on their list of 40 trade candidates, specifically noting that he's heading into his final season of club control on a team that's obviously embarking on a rebuild. Translation: Romero is available not because of performance issues, but because of organizational circumstances. That's exactly the kind of market inefficiency smart front offices exploit. Now, let's talk about what makes JoJo Romero special, because this is where the story gets really interesting. The 29-year-old southpaw relies primarily on 3 pitches: his slider, sinker, and changeup. He also sprinkles in a four-seam fastball and rarely uses a cutter. But here's what separates Romero from ordinary relievers. His four-seamer is an absolute weapon. According to Brooks Baseball, one of the most respected pitching analysis resources in the game, Romero's four-seam fastball generates an extremely high number of swings and misses compared to other pitchers. For seamers, has heavy sinking action and has well above average velo. Read that description again. Extremely high swing and miss rates. Heavy sinking action. Above average velocity. That's not a complimentary pitch. That's a strikeout weapon. Now, you might be thinking, if his four-seamer is so good, why doesn't he throw more? According to Savant, Romero threw his four-seamer only 59 times in 2025 and 91 times in 2024. That's incredibly limited usage for such an effective pitch. But that's actually strategic brilliance, not a limitation. Romero uses his four-seamer as a surprise weapon, a pitch hitters don't expect, can't time, and consistently miss. When you throw a pitch sparingly, but it generates elite swing and miss rates, you're creating unpredictability that makes all your other pitches more effective. His slider and changeup set up the fastball. His sinker keeps hitters off balance. And when he needs a strikeout, that four-seamer appears like a ghost pitch that hitters simply cannot square up. Here's where Romero's story becomes even more compelling. He finished 2025 on an absolute tear. Romero didn't step in to save opportunities until the final 2 months of the regular season. But when he did, he was dominant. In his last 20 games of the year, he recorded 8 saves in 9 opportunities. That's an 88.9% conversion rate in high-leverage situations. But the saves only tell part of the story. In those same 20 games, covering 25 and 2/3 innings, Romero struck out 20 batters. That's elite strikeout production in the highest pressure situations. For the entire 2025 season, Romero finished with 2.07 ERA, 1.25 WHIP, 55 strikeouts. Those aren't good numbers. Those are elite numbers for a high-leverage reliever. That 2.07 ERA would have ranked among the best in baseball for relievers with significant innings. The 1.25 WHIP demonstrates excellent command and the ability to limit base runners. But here's what might be most impressive: consistency over multiple seasons. In 2024 and 2025 combined, Romero collected 54 holds in 130 games. That's a reliever who has been trusted in high-leverage situations repeatedly and has consistently delivered. So how exactly does JoJo Romero fit into Toronto's bullpen puzzle? Let's break down the possibilities, because there are multiple scenarios where he becomes invaluable. Scenario 1, the closer role. If the Blue Jays acquired Romero, he could legitimately step into the closer position. His late-season performance, 8 saves in 9 opportunities, demonstrates he can handle ninth-inning pressure. This would push Jeff Hoffman into a setup role, potentially relieving some of the psychological burden Hoffman carries after his World Series collapse. Scenario 2, elite setup man, perhaps even more likely, Romero becomes Toronto's shutdown setup man. With Seranthony Dominguez parting ways from the Blue Jays, they desperately need a left-handed bullpen option for late-game scenarios. Romero's 54 holds over the past 2 seasons prove he excels in the 7th and 8th innings. Scenario 3, high-leverage, specialist modern bullpens don't operate with rigid roles anymore. The best relievers pitch in the highest leverage situations regardless of inning. Romero's swing and miss arsenal makes him perfect for any high-pressure moment. Bases loaded in the 6th, protecting a 1-run lead in the 8th, or closing out the 9th. The beauty of acquiring Romero is versatility. He's not locked into one specific role. He can adapt to whatever situation John Schneider needs on any given night. Here's what makes the potential Romero acquisition so brilliant from a front office perspective. He's flying under the radar. While every team in baseball is bidding up the prices on Fairbanks, Díaz, and other marquee closers, Romero represents elite production at a fraction of the cost. The Cardinals are rebuilding and need to move him. He's in his final year of club control, which means St. Louis has limited leverage. This is the kind of trade that separates smart organizations from desperate ones. Desperate teams overpay for big names. Smart teams identify undervalued talent that provides comparable production without the astronomical price tag. Consider the acquisition cost difference. Pete Fairbanks likely requires multiple prospects, or young MLB-ready players Edwin Díaz would command a massive contract in free agency. JoJo Romero, available via trade for a reasonable prospect package. Toronto could acquire Romero, add another reliever through free agency, and still spend less than landing one of the marquee names. That's efficient roster construction. That's championship caliber front office work. And here's the kicker. Romero's production over the past 2 seasons suggests he could provide comparable value to those bigger names, especially in a well-constructed bullpen where he's not carrying the entire load alone. Let's zoom out and look at Toronto's complete off-season strategy because Romero doesn't exist in isolation. The Blue Jays have been aggressively active across multiple fronts, added Dylan Cease to anchor the rotation, brought in Cody Ponce for pitching depth, hosted Kyle Tucker at their facilities, signaling serious interest in the superstar outfielder, exploring Bo Bichette's potential return, pursuing multiple bullpen arms simultaneously. This isn't a team making 1 or 2 moves and hoping for the best. This is an organization systematically addressing every weakness that prevented them from winning the World Series. The bullpen was the most glaring weakness. Toronto's response? Attack it from multiple angles. Don't just pursue one closer and hope he solves everything. Build depth, versatility, and redundancy so that no single failure can derail championship aspirations. Romero fits perfectly into that philosophy. He's not the only bullpen addition Toronto needs, but he could be one of the smartest acquisitions they make all winter. According to Mitch Bannon of The Athletic, the Blue Jays are also exploring other trades to optimize their roster. With potential outfield depth if they land Tucker, Toronto could move Nathan Lukes to the Pittsburgh Pirates for pitcher Carmen Mlodzinski. This demonstrates Toronto's willingness to be creative in roster construction. They're not just signing free agents and calling it a day. They're exploring trades, identifying market inefficiencies, and building a roster with championship depth. The potential Romero acquisition fits this same mold. It's identifying a player whose value is suppressed by external circumstances, St. Louis rebuilding, rather than performance issues. It's recognizing that swing and miss potential is exactly what Toronto's bullpen needs after watching too many crucial at-bats end with contact instead of strikeouts. The Cardinals need to move Romero. The Blue Jays need elite bullpen help. The fit is obvious and the timing is perfect. So, here's the ultimate question. Is JoJo Romero the swing and miss weapon Toronto desperately needs, or just another name in a long list of bullpen targets? The evidence suggests he's significantly more valuable than his current market perception indicates. A 2.07 ERA. Elite swing and miss rates. Proven success in high-leverage situations. 8 saves in 9 opportunities down the stretch. 54 holds over 2 seasons. Those aren't the numbers of a backup plan. Those are the numbers of an elite reliever who happens to be available because his team is rebuilding, not because he's declined. While other teams chase the obvious targets and drive up prices, Toronto has an opportunity to make a smart, efficient acquisition that addresses their most critical need without mortgaging the future. The Blue Jays came 1 strike away from a championship. They're not going to let another season slip away because they failed to address bullpen weaknesses. JoJo Romero might not have the name recognition of Fairbanks or Díaz, but he has the production, the arsenal, and the track record to be exactly what Toronto needs. Sometimes the best moves aren't the splashiest. Sometimes championship rosters are built with smart, under-the-radar acquisitions that provide elite production at reasonable costs. JoJo Romero could be exactly that kind of move, and if Toronto's front office is as smart as their aggressive offseason suggests, they'll make it happen before someone else recognizes what they're missing. What do you think? Is Romero the underrated bullpen weapon Toronto should prioritize, or should they keep chasing the bigger names? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your take on this. And smash that like button if you're loving this deep dive Blue Jays coverage as the offseason heats up.